I'm Tim from Canadian Craft Tours. Water. It's one part of beer. Malt, hops, water, and yeast. But you may ask yourself, what's the deal with water? What difference can water make to beer? That's a great question, and I'm glad you asked. Beer is 90 to 95% water, so it stands to reason that better water means better beer. But water varies from region to region, and from style to style of each beer. Keep in mind that you can brew good beer with almost any water, but you also have the option to filter it or to add minerals. And it can make the difference between good beer and great beer, if you do it right. But keep in mind that brewing is cooking, and seasoning will not make up for bad ingredients. First, we need to talk about where we get our water from. And I don't mean the kitchen tap. Water comes from one of two sources usually, either lakes, rivers, and streams, which is surface water, or from wells and aquifers, that is groundwater. Each of them has their strengths and weaknesses. Surface water will have lower levels of dissolved solid minerals, but on the other hand, it'll have more organic stuff like leaves and mud and algae and things. Well water or aquifer water will have much higher levels of dissolved minerals usually, but lower levels of organic solids. Each of these two sources is treated a little differently. Surface water is filtered to remove the organic material, and then it's treated with a sterilant like chlorine or chloramine. Groundwater, on the other hand, often has minerals that can interfere with the flavor of a beer, so it might need some treatment in the brewery. You may have heard the phrase, made with pure mountain spring water, and it's used by marketing people to pump up the positive feelings about their beer. And while it's true that pure mountain spring water is fine for making beer, other than having low levels of dissolved minerals, it doesn't convey any advantages. There's no magic in the runoff water from a mountain, unless you're a marketing guy trying to really push the bland macro lager. Brewing water affects beer in three separate ways. First, the pH will change the flavor, the way the beer impacts your palate. Second, the sulfate to chloride ion ratio, which we'll talk about in a minute, it changes the way the beer tastes, just like adding salt or seasoning to a recipe can. And third, water can have contaminants such as chlorine or chloramines, which need to be treated and removed, otherwise they can change the flavor of beer in an unfortunate way. In general, brewing water should be clean and free of any odors or flavors. If you've got good tap water that smells and tastes fine, it's probably good for brewing beer. However, moderately hard water with good alkalinity is usually easier to make good beer out of. We could have a whole section on what ions do in beer and brewing, but it's pretty boring unless you're a water chemist. So let's just go with the various dissolved minerals in water, such as calcium, sodium, magnesium, and chloride. That's chloride, not chlorine, quite different. Will change the way the water makes the beer taste. So, if you're going to brew a good beer, you probably want to adjust those ions specifically for the recipe and the style of beer that you're going to make. Classic beer styles were all brewed in conjunction with the water from the area they were made in. Czech lagers, soft water. Burton IPA, very hard water. The good news is that for beer drinkers like us, extremely boring guys in lab coats figured out water chemistry so that we can take any water and make it into what we need to produce those styles today. And isn't that what life's about? Choosing a great style of beer and enjoying it.
Warning, warning, warning. Extremely boring content. If you think water chemistry is real neato and want to learn about it more in detail, or just suffer from insomnia and need some help, check out the book Water by Palmer and Kaminsky. It's the best reference there is for insomnia.